From Square, New York. I just want to make a few points before I start. This is also out of it's not open law, as I mentioned in other meetings, that open meetings law doesn't, specify, the allowance of public speaking. It doesn't specify the time limit. But out of the Association of Towns, who I believe one of our council people may be president of after this election, they talk about a 5-minute limit if there's a large number of speakers. And if there's not, it may be politic. This is their call to allow more time. So just going back to this point, because it's very, very relevant, is on April 9th, the redistricting hearing, there wasn't a large number of speakers in relative terms, because I was with you at the meeting with LPOA was here, and people from Levittown protesting Josiah Homes. And if I remember correctly, and there's witnesses here who have been there at that meeting too, there was not even standing room only in there. They had to stand out in the vestibule until people left before they could get in to see the hearing firsthand. And people were allowed to speak exorbitant number about different parts of things that were not relevant to the hearing itself, which is the condominiums that were being built. They talked about their personal history, how they came back from World War II, which is all nice to hear, but it wasn't relevant to the hearing. They spoke for 5, 10, 15 minutes when there was an exorbitant number of speakers here, exorbitant number, and nobody restricted them to 3 minutes, 1 second, like Mr. Santino, Councilman Santino did on April 9th. Now, I didn't take a position on whether districts should be aligned this way, that way, whatever, at that hearing. But I did take a position that everybody needs to be heard, and everyone needs to be treated equally. And that's what didn't get done. That's what didn't get done at that hearing. Everyone was held. That never happened in 3 years, and now it's 1 month that I've been here. No one was ever held for 3, everybody. Only me was held. Only I was held for 3 minutes, 1 second, by Mr. Santino. But no one else has ever been. We will get 50 people held for 3 minutes, 1 second, wind up the state, wind up the state. That was a violation of the constitutional rights of people, because the law says, in this case law, Hewlett v. Murphy, that you must follow the Constitution. That trumps state law. You're going to make rules, those rules must apply equally to all residents. And the Illinois Association of Towns manual recommends when there's a large number of speakers, the 5-minute rule be held rigorously. The 5-minute rule. This is the town of Association of Towns. It's not law, but it's a manual and the guidelines for town supervisors and town boards. I want to make that point. I brought my daughter here today. She didn't want to come, Catherine Proccaci. And I brought her here because it's important that she understands that democracy doesn't work in the town of Hempstead. It doesn't work, and I have first-hand experience. This is not my grant because I'm a candidate. I never chose to be a candidate. I was selected. I never ran for you to get appointed to become a candidate. I'm here, I brought her here under her uncle protest. She wanted to read her book today at the school that she's starting next week. But I brought her here to teach her how democracy doesn't work. One more thing about an election is talking about dirty tricks that Ms. Friedman spoke about is I was working in my driveway a few weeks ago, and a department of building truck, I believe, pulled up in front of my driveway. The 2 men in the truck, they didn't get out. They didn't do anything. They sat there for 1 to 2 minutes, quite a long time. It doesn't take that long to read an address if that's what they were looking for. And they sat right while I was working in my driveway. And they sat there. I don't know what that means. I'm not going to make an interpretation, but it seems like an intimidation to me, in my opinion.
Did they
Why?
speak to you at all?
They didn't say anything. They sat in my driveway, right in front of my driveway, blocking my driveway for about 1 to 2 minutes and did nothing.
So they didn't speak to you?
They didn't speak to me, but it's just an event that occurs that's kind of suspicious. If you working in your driveway and I pull up right in front of you and I just sit there, it's kind of odd. No, everyone can have their own interpretation of what that means. A week after that, 2 trucks passed by my house, both slowed down, they didn't stop, they both slowed down in front of my house and took off within 10 minutes of each other. I live on a dead-end street, Ms. Murray. I live on a dead-end street. No one comes down that street unless they're lost or they have to visit somebody on the block. I have some statements that I want to make about item number 51 that I received from people who were unable to attend. And there's another guideline in the town of the manual of town, what the title is, Association of Towns, that says that meetings shall not be held at inappropriate hours when people are working, but they should be held in the evening when more people could attend. This, once again, is a guideline within the Association of Towns manual, and it's something that maybe we should think about. My first letter is from Janet Pertensky, 976 Jerome Street, Baldwin Harbor, New York, 11510. I am writing to protest the appointment of a town clerk 2 months prior to the scheduled 2013 election. An appropriate action to fill the position of the disgraced Mr. Bonilla would be to elevate an employee to acting clerk pending the election. However, the appointment of Ms. Ahmad eliminates the need for the NCRC to fundraise for Ms. Ahmad, as she will now appear on Ms. Murray's expensive mailings paid for by the hard-working town of Hempstead taxpayer. Typically, the town of Hempstead board meeting is being held mid-morning so that few residents as possible are able to attend. Citizens who work must hope that someone will read their statements. Town officials manage not to be inconvenienced by the presence of citizens who would actually witness the degradation of democracy on this intimate local level. Like the town of Hempstead's shameful non-response to the suffering of its citizens during the crisis of Hurricane Sandy, the shameful redistricting of the town that successfully nullifies the vote of the Democratic majority in the town of Hempstead, it is clear that the town of Hempstead officials prioritize only their own interests and those of their friends. It did not go unnoticed that town officials hired a very expensive national firm to defend their ugly redistricting scheme on the taxpayers' tab. Next statement is from Gary Port, Lieutenant Colonel in the United States Army. Kate Murray and the Republican Party continue to treat the town of Hempstead as a Republican fiefdom. The Republicans are not shameful by what Mr. Bonilla did, but that he was caught and nearly exposed the cynical and arrogant way that the Republicans run the town. His heinous actions cannot be hidden when exposed to public scrutiny. He was convicted. Unashamed, the Republicans seek not to appoint, but to anoint the new town clerk just prior to the election. This will allow them to run this party hack as a county clerk. This is what it says. I'm reading.
It's still out of line.
No, I agree with you, but
it's a personal attack. It's out of line.
Okay, that's what I'm reading his letter.
It's out of line.
This tactic has been used for decades for whatever reason. The current office holder leaves office, and the Republican Party bosses appoint the successor to fill out the term, and who then runs for the election as if they were the incumbent. Appointing a new town clerk just within weeks of the general election is not really an abuse of the democratic process, but business as usual, the town of Hempstead Republican. The next letter is from David.
If I can just interject, Mr. Port, that you reading his letter is a former Democratic candidate for town supervisor.
Sure.
So what? Just for the record.
Okay.
So what? You didn't disclose that.
He didn't write it.
No, you did put his army background. You didn't put his. Just for the record.
Just for the record.
That's right in.
The town of Hempstead board is scheduled to discuss today the appointment of a town clerk 2 months prior. This letter is from David H. Stonehill. The town, he's an attorney, I believe a Democratic attorney, just to clarify all that stuff. The town of Hempstead board is scheduled to discuss today the appointment of a town clerk 2 months prior to an election for town clerk. Since the election is so close in time, common sense would dictate the naming of an acting clerk from within the clerk's office to handle the matters for the rest of the year. But of course we are talking about the town of Hempstead board. Take the expression, good government is good politics. In Hempstead, the expression is reversed. Decisions are made not in the best interest of the residents, but only for the convenience of the majority political party. Appointing a Republican candidate for clerk as a town clerk is nothing less than a naked exercise of political power. Whether the appointment is considered illegal, inappropriate, morally corrupt, presents the wrong appearance, or simply smacks of bad taste is irrelevant to the board. The wishes of the public regarding the ill-advised appointment simply do not matter. Public hearings are seen as an inconvenience to be tolerated as little as possible. The political-centric governing philosophy of Hempstead's government is almost refreshing in its candor. At least we understand that our elected town government is only interested in its own self-preservation. In spite of changing demographics, which have given this town a Democratic voting majority in terms of party registration, in spite of the general decay of town services, as graphically seen in the lack of road maintenance, the board pretends that this is 1960 and acts accordingly. Genuine democracy may well be rewarded today, as most days. The remedy to this remains the same: ballot box and the courthouse. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Proccaci. Just since you brought up the idea of 4 minutes per person, can you just tell me what have you been timed?
Not on this calendar.
Well, certainly, I think you'd agree it's well beyond 3 minutes.
Well, I spoke to 5 different people.
But it's not the administrative calendar.
Once again,
You could submit the.
yeah, it never gets.
It's not the miscellaneous calendar. It's the administrative calendar.
Well, Mr. Proccaci,
But the thing is,
I'm sure you would agree, you have spoken for.
Greg Needham here on
I mean, would you agree with that?
and Greg Needham on August 3rd, 2010, at a hearing with people from Merrick, talking on the cell tower law. He spoke for 20 minutes in the hearing where it was packed to the brim. And you didn't bow him. But I understand you have to pick on me. I mean, that you've always
Would
done.
you wrap up, Mr. Proccaci?
I will now speak my case on this. Public officials who violate the public trust have no place in public service. Over the last 12 months, I've read and heard the statement several times in articles and news interviews relating to a town official accused and convicted of wrongdoing. Administrative calendar item number 51, case number 26726, describes a resolution to appoint Nasrin Ahmad to the position of town clerk. Nasrin Ahmad, despite the inflated rhetoric we might hear today, is not qualified to hold public office. It is not only that she doesn't hold up to my standards, she doesn't even hold up to our town supervisor standards. Kate Murray has stated to the press many times over the last 12 months that public officials who violate the public trust have no place in public service. Well, Ms. Ahmad has violated that trust many times over the last 3 years I have been attending town board meetings, giving more speaking time to a person, offering praise to the Murray administration and less to those who speak the truth that the administration would rather not hear about. This behavior is unconstitutional and case law exists to validate this claim in the case of Shula v. Murphy. Nasrin's violation of the constitutional rights of town residents is well documented. Numerous videos are available on the internet which shows her bias to those who praise the administration. The appointment of Nasrin Ahmad is also unnecessary in that the town has, required by town code, must select successors for each elective office. Assuming the town board is following its own code, the succession should be obvious and the appointment is unnecessary. The only reason to make this appointment is to give Ahmad the advantage of running as an incumbent, using taxpayer money to get her name and picture on town-wide mailings.
That's right.
Public officials who violate the public trust have no place in public service. I agree with Supervisor Murray. Nasrin Ahmad has violated the public trust, and there is irrefutable evidence showing this. Kate Murray has also violated the public trust, and the judgment against her name proves this. Senior Councilman Anthony Santino has violated the public trust, and there is also irrefutable video evidence that shows this. I agree with Supervisor Murray. Public officials who violate the public trust have no place in public service, and I therefore ask that the board oppose the appointment of Nasrin Ahmad to the position of town clerk.